Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Jin here, and today I'm gonna be showing you guys how to make melodies for Rod Wave and Lil Durk. Before I get into it, I just want to ask you guys, if you enjoy these videos and you learn something, be sure to follow me on Instagram. I'll put it up on the screen right now, to stay updated with me and my music and whenever I upload new videos and stuff like that. I have a couple placements on the way that I can't wait for them to drop, so if you guys are interested and want to stay updated, be sure to follow me on there. Before I get into how I made this melody, I'm just gonna play you the full loop, and after that we'll get straight into it. So yeah, let's go. Alright, so the first thing I did was laying down this piano pattern. We are in B minor, but the first chord isn't a B minor chord. I think this is a G minor chord. So the first thing I did was just lay down these chords right here that I'm highlighting right now, and then I added more chords to like try and add more bounce and like more melody to them. So it started off by just the chords, and then I followed off with these with the extra notes that you see, with just following the ghost notes on the like the scale in the ghost notes. So this is what it sounds like on its own. So one thing that's very important is to add variety, and like not try and be predictable but not too predictable, where the person who's listening to the melody can basically predict every single thing that's about to happen. So for example, you see these right here, these are the same chord, right? But if you look at them, they look different. So basically, this just sounds like this, and then this one sounds like this. It's just what it's basically doing is like having these two notes play, which is just the bass note and its octave above, and then having like, I think these are called grace notes, where they're notes that lead up to the note that you actually want to play. So it's like going up and then sticking on this F sharp, which is the note that's in that chord. So we went from this to this. It's a very small change, but it does a lot to like spice things up. Also, something that is very important is when it comes to variety is like these right here, these like this I guess sequence is the exact same thing, but as you can see, this right here starts on a grace note and this doesn't. So basically, this is just to add variety, like I said. And one small tip that I can give you when it comes to like writing melodies like these is just playing around with a note and then its octave. So here, this starts right here on this F sharp, right? But look right here, this is another F sharp, but it's the octave lower. So this is like a way that you can transition into the next section without doing too much. So this is what that sounds like. It's very small, but it does a lot. Also, I hear a lot of loops from people that don't really transition well. Like one section doesn't transition well to the other. So for example, here in the end, you see I added these notes right here to transition back to the start. So this is what that sounds like. one thing that I like to do a lot is end the loop or end the melody on the note that's either one semitone above or one semitone under the note that the loop is gonna start on. That like just adds tiny bit more suspense until it goes back to where it's supposed to go. So yeah. Also, one thing I just remembered, I didn't mention this part right here. So this right here is like a change up from the first part, the first 4 bars of this loop. So if you listen, I'm just gonna play you the first chord and then the second chord. So listen to the chords, don't listen to the melody, focus on the chords. So you hear it's like very steady and like kind of predictable, but here, listen to the chords again. It like transitions back into this B chord right here that it just makes it sound so much better and less predictable from the first part. So the next thing I did was add these strings. They're from Contact, Thin Strings Core, Ensemble Sustains. So basically what the strings are doing is they're following the chord progression, but also adding some top melody to it, so like it can flow more and add more emotion. So this is what the strings sound like on their own. One thing that I could have done better here is add more velocity changes. I didn't really do that. I think I probably forgot to do that. But yeah, one thing that I definitely would change is add more velocity changes, because these notes sound like too strong when they don't really have to sound that strong. So yeah, like I said, it's just following the chord progression and adding these notes right here as like another melody that adds more emotion. So for example, I'm gonna play it along with the piano right now, the strings and the piano, and you'll understand what I mean. Just it adds like more it adds like more of a dramatic effect. Okay, so after the strings I added this vibraphone sound. It's from or no, it's a Celeste bell from Orchestral Essentials by Project Sam. This is what that sounds like on its own. Okay, so this is very simple and predictable, which goes back on what I just said, but I wanted it to do it that way. So basically, this is in the background. Like this isn't one of the main instruments. So when you want something to just fill up space and like be ambient, you can be simple and predictable, because at the end of the day, it's not one of the main instruments. So along with the piano, this is what the bells sound like. So one thing to take into consideration when you're trying to add variety and like not be predictable is if you have 2 or 3 main instruments, like the instruments that are the focal point, is that the word, of the melody. So for example, in my case, it's the piano and the strings. Anything else that you add, you want to have it like not be too crazy, because then it's just gonna sound like it's just too many things going on. So for example, with the piano, I have the top line as well as these chord changes right here, which are adding variety, and with the strings, it's this top line. I didn't want to go too crazy. I could have just added a ton of extra notes and stuff like that, but you don't really need to do all that. when you're making melodies, as long as you have enough swing and like variety to it. I said variety a lot this video, huh? But yeah, so next thing I did was I added this flute, which I kind of manipulated it in a way for it to be a like sound like a vocal chop. So this is what it sounds like. I think I got this flute run from Orchestral Essentials as well. So if you go into Orchestral Essentials, you go woodwinds. It's ethnic flute phrases right here. I think that's where I got it from. I'm not entirely sure. So without the processing that I added to it, this is what it sounds like. I mean, it sounds good on its own. I just didn't really want to add a flute. I wanted more ambience. So what I did to achieve that sound is first of all I bounced it into audio, so like with Edison, and then I added this vocal synth from Isotope. I think this is one of their presets. Yeah, it's the 4 barbers preset. So with the vocal synth, this is what it sounds like. So basically, this is like a vocoder effect, and then I added this EQ to cut out the highs, because when you have like a vocoder effect, you tend to get a ton of like high frequency artifacts that maybe you don't want. So I took out all of the lows because, well, you don't need that in a flute. It's just gonna, if there's anything in there, it's gonna muddy up the mix. And then I took out the highs because, like I said, I don't want the extra artifacts in there. And then I drowned it in reverb. As you can see, 84% mix and like decent decay size or decay length. And yeah, this is what it sounds like after. On its own, it sounds kind of weird, but like with everything else, so let me go here, for example. So like when it's buried by everything else, it's passable as like a vocal run. So last thing I did was I played bass guitar on this. So this is what it sounds like. Yeah, I just recorded it through my interface into FL. So yeah, for the mixing, it's just nothing too crazy, just EQ and compression. So on the piano, I'm getting between 3 and 4 dBs of gain reduction, which isn't too much anyway. And I think it's the same for everything else. For the bells, I don't have any compression, just EQ, taking out the lows and a tiny bit of the highs. The strings, just the lows, because I don't want any of that bass clashing with the bass guitar that I recorded. Bit of compression too. When you're doing compression, you don't want to smack the signal too much. You just want like a tiny bit of compression to like glue everything together. For the flute, I showed you what I did. For the bass, I have an EQ, taking out the extreme lows, which are barely audible anyway, and the tiny, like, I didn't even change this. This is just one of the presets. I didn't change the high cut, just the low cut, and then compressor from waves to like even out the signal. And then I routed all of those to one bus. So I just have SSL comp on there, just like as a glue to have everything mesh well together, and then parallel compression, and then delay and reverb. Yeah, so that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys learned something, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.